Going on a plane. This is the Tripp family. Mrs. Tripp, Mr. Tripp, Tim Tripp, Rosie Tripp, Lily Tripp, Rover. Tim and Rosie are helping Mr. and Mrs. Tripp to pack. They are going on a plane tomorrow. They set off for the airport. Grandpa Tripp takes them in his car. Lily staying behind with Grandpa, Granny, and Rover, the dog. Mr. Tripp unloads their bags. One of them topples over. It is Rosie's. She collects her things. Sorry, says Mr. Tripp. The Tripps check in. Here are the tickets, Mrs. Tripp says to the lady at the check-in counter. Another lady weighs their luggage. The Tripps go through a metal detector. Their bags go through an X-ray machine to make sure they're not carrying anything dangerous. They board the plane. A flight attendant shows them to their seats. Mr. Tripp puts their bags into a locker above their head. They're ready for takeoff. Fasten your seatbelts, says the flight attendant. I've buckled Hippo in, says Rosie. The plane takes off. The pilot starts up the engines of the big plane. The flight attendant tells the passengers the safety rules. The pilot waits for his turn to take off. Then the plane speeds down the runway and zooms up into the air. It's time to eat. Here's your lunch, the flight attendant says to Mrs. Tripp. Another flight attendant gives Mr. Tripp a drink. The flight attendant speaks to the pilots. She goes into the cockpit and asks the pilots if they would like to have something to eat too. The plane will land soon. Mrs. Tripp and Rosie go to use the toilet. Back in their seats, they listen to music on earphones. Tim looks out of the window. We are coming down, he shouts. Soon the plane lands safely on the runway. The Tripps get off the plane. They walk down the stairs to the bus that will take them to the airport building. Catch my hat, cries Mrs. Tripp. They go through passport control. An officer checks their passports. Look, Rosie says to Mr. Tripp. He's putting a big stamp in yours. They collect their luggage. They wait at the baggage carousel until their bags arrive. Here are my things, Rosie says to a porter. The Tripps leave the airport. Mrs. Tripp gives the porter some money. Taxi! Taxi! Shouts Mr. Tripp, and off the Tripps go to their hotel. Okay, thank you very much for listening